Hello and welcome. My name's Ben Howard, and in this Microsoft Project tutorial I'm going to show you how to calculate and then display the resource capacity over the period of a project, and we'll display that using the reports feature. And so for this to work you must have one of the later versions of Microsoft Project, so 2013 or 2016. Let's get on with the video. And so, with Project open, let's go and find ourselves a Microsoft Project plan. So I'm just going to click New here. We'll go and use the Software Development Plan template. I seem to use this plan quite a lot because it's already pre-populated with a sensible amount of tasks and a sensible amount of resources. We can see that the project summary task shows me that I have a duration of 97.5 days, and I've got quite a few tasks below that. And if we just show all of the outline levels, then you can see lots of the tasks have resources against them. So actually it's a fairly sensible plan to use for many demonstrations and testing, etc. Okay, let's go and have a look at these resources. So I'm going to switch over to the resource sheet. We can see some of these resources are over allocated. We may perform some leveling on this later, but one of the things I'm going to choose to do is change the percent availability, the max percent availability of the max units for a couple of these resources, just so that I get some slightly different capacity features. If you've read the blog and you've come here, then you'll know that I'm going to put a formula against these resources to calculate the capacity. Let's just go and do that. So I'm going to add a new column here. We'll choose column called number 1, which is great, and obviously that's pre-populated with 0. Let's right click on there and go to custom fields, and I'm just going to rename number 1, call it capacity. So this field is going to represent the total capacity in hours that a resource has available for the whole of the project duration, and then we can compare that with the work that they have for the project duration. I'll choose the formula button, and the formula you can either type it in, copy it in from the blog page, or of course you do have the opportunity to go and grab the functions and fields to do this. So the first thing we need to do is calculate the difference in dates between the project start and the project finish. So we can do that using the datetime proj date diff, and you see we put in 2 dates. So date 1, if I look in the field, we've got project date and we've got the project start date. So that can go in there, and similarly date 2, I can choose the project finish date. And I'm not going to worry about a calendar. Could use the project calendar. Calendar is an optional one. So that gives us the number of minutes between the start and finish. If we divide that by 60, we then get the number of hours. And if we multiply that number of hours by the resources field called max units, can't quite remember where that is. Oh, it's there. Okay, and that's our calculation for capacity done. We can click OK, and we can see we've got some different calculations in here. So we've got 766 hours for a resource which is 100% available. That works quite nicely. So now we've got that capacity field, what do we do with it? Well, if we go to the report and click on the resource report and have a look at the resource overview, you'll see that I've got a graph here that already gives me amount of work for each resource. It's also going to show me actual work and baseline work, but I'm going to change this. I'm going to remove the 2 values, actual work and remaining work. In fact, I'm just going to use the value work, and I'm going to put capacity in here instead. When I click in the graph, you'll see that on the right hand side I get a field list, and I can select which fields I want to display. So I'm going to get rid of baseline work. Don't want any of the baseline. I'm going to get rid of the actual work and the remaining work. I'm just going to choose work. So that's the work value. Now the other thing that I need to add in is my custom number. So that's a number, it's a custom number, and it's called capacity, or number 1. So that works quite well. Now what we need to do is change the way we're viewing the capacity field, because we don't want this as a stacked bar. So in order to show the capacity as a line, I'm going to need to change the chart type. So if I click on the design tool up here, I can choose change chart type, and this is a combo chart that I'm going to need. That's an example of what it will look like, and so I can click OK. So that's great. This now shows me a graph that plots capacity versus work hours, and you see we've got a couple of drops there for our different capacity for different resources, including trainers, which is at 75%, testers, which is at 50%, and project manager, which was at 50%. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out my blog, www.applepark.co.uk,